Brother from another mother. Oh man, it's been a day of filming, and we're live again in multiple cities, and I just love that. I love that because I love my friend Brian Chrisagis. You're about to hear all about him. Just verifying that we're live, folks. I always like to bring you in on these interviews, and it's important. It's important that you know these are great, great people, and Brian and I share a lot in common with a lot of the people that we featured as well. We're going to go into that as well. I need to do one more adjustment here, but it really is important to me. The best way to love me is love people I love, you know, and you love my people, then I'll love you. And you don't love my people, treat them right, then there you go. But that's on you. But Brian, I don't even know how long ago we met. Was it 8 years ago, 5 years ago?
I
Um,
think so, and I know it was through Feral Feral. Do you remember?
yes, Bob and Jane Farrell, the
Jane.
amazing uh, couple and artists and songwriters as well. And of course, when you're doing good, when you're putting out good media, you get resistance, especially with media. And so we
Yeah.
are we've already been in multiple cities right now, but there we go. That's what I was waiting on right there. And we are live with now on my page too. And so anyhow, folks, if you've been around any number of times and seen the Legend series, you will recognize today's guest, Brian Chrisagis. And again, it's so good, Brian, to have you. We're about to film, and we film these live. Brian and I share a love for our nation's finest, you know, in law enforcement and first responders, but we also honor legends, people from back in the day in media and television and movies when before everyone was so offended at everything. And we share love for those people. We honor those people too. So without any further ado, we're going to do another word on the street with Brian Chrisakis and find out what's going on with him. And here we go. We're going to go ahead and record this. And again, thanks for joining me, everybody. It's such short notice. Here we go. Another great word on the street, none other than a legendary um, persona on television and a new series you're going to love, and so many great events through the years honoring movie stars and musical stars and legends. A legend of his own, Brian Chrisakis. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing great. Thanks you, Brant. It's been wonderful to finally be with you on the air. We've
Man,
been saying
it's
we were going to do this forever and ever.
I know, man. And you know what? We met years ago. I think one of the first things we did interview wise, I was at a CBS in Amarillo, Channel 10, News Channel 10, and interviewing you and Sean and all the amazing things that you
That's right.
continue to do.
I forgot you did that with us. That's
Yeah,
right. You did.
yeah.
That's
And
right.
that was a great time. People were fascinated by you guys, man.
Well,
You
thank
know?
you.
Now,
Well,
folks,
thank
you see a handsome movie star looking dude on your screen, but he and his brother actually were born with an illness that kept them. You would never have guessed what they would do and what they would aspire to, their original condition, but because of a praying mother and a miracle, they not only rose above and defied the odds, but they actually got to connect with all the TV and movie and music personalities that inspired them
you.
while they
Yeah.
were going through that. Brian, if I were to say, "Hey, what's that about? Tell me about that." How would you describe that?
We were born 3 months early to a wonderful, beautiful Catholic woman named Marguerite Chrisagis. She married our dad, John Chrisagis. She was Italian. He's Greek. She was Philippa was her real name, and he was Greek. So we're Greek and Italian. And she was a praying mother. She wanted three sons. She had a heart condition at the age. She had rheumatic fever at the age of 3.
Wow.
So it injured her heart. It destroyed the valves of her heart. She was never supposed to have children. She watched my three sons. She wanted to have three sons like Fred McMurray. She watched the Big Valley. She wanted to have three sons like Barbara Stanwyck. She always had, that was her desire, to have three sons. And God gave her her desire, just not the way she thought because she was so sick. So she got married. She had one child. He looked perfect. He looked like Elvis Presley being born. He was gorgeous. And so she thought she'd try for two more sons. The doctors advised her never to have any more children because the heart that she had, that was a heart condition, was even more scarred up. So it left her breathing on a breathing machine, and she was in a wheelchair half the time. So she just was not well. And they said if she had any more children, it could kill her or kill the child. So she kept believing. She was Catholic. She did the rosaries. She lit the candles. She was believing God was going to do a mighty miracle in her. She got a book called "They Will Live and Not Die" and proclaim the glory of the Lord by Lester Summerall. And she said, that's exactly what my child is going to do. He's going to live and not die and proclaim the glory of the Lord. So she finds out she's pregnant again. And the doctor said, there's one child. They don't know if it's a boy or a girl yet. And they were doing all these tests. And she says, they said, but you need to abort this baby. And she said, doctor, I think there's two because I'm hearing two heartbeats. I'm feeling several kicks, and it's coming from several legs, and they're all over the place. And she swore she could hear laughter in her womb. Okay, so the two of us must have been talking and doing stuff. But then they checked and they said, "Oh my gosh, you're having twins." So first they thought she was crazy. Then they checked and she is having twins. So they said, "We'd have to abort this immediately." She refused to abort it. She didn't believe in abortion. She said that God was going to bring her out of this and her twins. So they find out that we need to be 3 months early. She does the 3 months early thing, and now she's really in bad shape. She's very sick. But when we came out, we were turning different colors. We looked like ET. Like I said, my brother looked like Elvis Presley. The two of us looked like ET. Not very good looking. But we were allergic to the sun. We were allergic to the grass. We were allergic to every types of food. They put us in incubators for 2 whole years of our life. We could only eat sardines, peanut butter, rice cakes, and soybean milk. So for
Wow.
the yeah, it's terrible. So for the first 2 years of our life, we're in incubators. Then they gave up hope and they told her to take us home for the next 5 years. And they didn't even expect us to live another year, but we lived 5 years like that. Our mom and dad sealed up the windows of our house, and they kept us inside, and we would get shots on a regular basis, and so that we would have enough, protein or whatever you want to call it, the vitamins we needed. But then our mom, by the prompting of her chiropractor, he was a born again Christian. He says, Margie, you need to go to a full gospel businessmen's meeting. There's a Catholic priest who is spirit filled and born again, and he's a faith healer, and his name is Father Michael Scanlon, and he
Wow.
can lay his hands on you and you receive a miracle. Now, Father Michael Scanlon was from Franciscan University up in Steubenville, Ohio, but he was teaching the area and other places how to pray over people. So he was more Pentecostal than the Pentecostals were. So
Wow. Well, hey,
he
those spirit-filled Catholics, man, look out.
they're powerful, and the charismatic renewal was powerful with Father McNutt and several other ones. Our mom knew all of them very well, so she went down in a wheelchair when he called for. He did an altar call and said, "Anybody here need a touch from God? Anybody here need to know the Lord in a personal way?" She went down in the wheelchair and she says, "I know God's busy. I've lived my life. I'm 32 years old, but my twins haven't had a chance to live. So would you please give my twins the miracle?" And he said, he asked her name. She said, Margie. He said, Margie, God's never too busy for any of us. So you're going to get your miracle. Then I'm going to teach you how to break the bloodline generational curses off your family. And then you're going to go home and pray over them. So that's exactly what she did. She got prayed over. He took the oxygen tank off her. He told her to walk. Instead of walking, she started walking, then she started running.
Oh
She
my
didn't even get
gosh.
wind. Yeah, so she was a total miracle immediately. Our dad, who was a man of faith, who was with her, he was in the back of the room who passed out.
Wow.
So, yeah, yeah, good Catholic, but not a faithful. Not he's never seen anything like that. So, but so then she gets him in the car. They go home. They they pray over us. She breaks off generational curses off us. And Brant, she literally, she has always said this, that she felt a spirit actually push her aside. And she knew that it was like the war room when they open up the door and cast out all these demons. That's what she did. And she felt a spirit push her aside. And she said, she knew we were healed.
Oh my
So she
gosh.
had asked us what we would like to eat. And we said, anything. She said, anything. And we said, well, we'd love to have chocolate. We've never had chocolate before. And we saw them eating chocolate. So
Yeah.
we went out. We got a hot fudge sundae. Our dad said, Margie, you're going to kill them. She says, no, I'm stepping out of the boat and I'm walking by faith. I'm going to believe this. And then they took us to the doctors the following day. The doctor did all these tests on us. We were instantly miraculously healed. They did tests on her heart. They found out that God gave her a new heart. The heart that was so scarred up, she didn't have anymore. That heart was, and I will say, God doesn't take back his miracle, because when she was 64 years old and she died of brain cancer, the doctors told us, guys, you better start praying because that heart is not giving out. It's the strongest heart I've ever heard. And
Wow.
that's keeping her alive. So she never died of the heart that they were so scared about. So God is faithful to his promises and to his miracles that he gives. So yeah, so
Wow.
we were instantly these two walking miracles, and so we decided at a young age we were going to serve the Lord, and we started singing and we started doing puppets, and we had. Do you remember Dick Mills, Brant?
What was that again?
Dick Mills. Have you ever heard of Dick
Yeah, yes,
Mills?
I've heard the name. I won't
Yeah, he was
pretend to
the
know, but yeah.
prophet of the churches, and he actually prophesied over us four different times we met him, and each time it was the same prophecy. He kept saying, "You're going to go to Hollywood. You're going to set the captives free in Hollywood. You're going to change their lives. So get your bags packed." Another time he said, "You two are going to go to Hollywood. Your brother better stay with you. Your older brother, he can drive the bus, but you two are going to be the ones who make the difference." Um, then we got a
Wow.
word from Stephanie Busada, and it was the same thing. Get your bags packed. We're going to Hollywood. And Stephanie and us became dear, dear friends. She became our spiritual mentor over the years.
Oh.
But do you remember Stephanie, right?
Oh yeah, Stephanie Basada would come through Full Gospel Assembly in Oklahoma City, a incredible church. J.C. Hibbert and the Blackest White Choir in Oklahoma. We were, and Stephanie and all the other artists would big in the day would seem to come through
Yeah.
there. And it was an amazing time. But yeah, very beloved Stephanie. Yeah,
She was outstanding, one of the greatest
yeah.
psalmists of our times, one of the greatest songwriters, but she had a powerful anointing, and she stayed as our spiritual covering for our ministry until she died. And then she gave us her mantle. And then not too long afterwards, this has been the hardest thing for me. My twin brother died. Now, we had done 40 years of ministry together. We
Wow.
had done 14 CDs together. We won Hollywood to Christ, so many of the stars. We worked for Eric Estrada for 18 years of our life, but we've known him for 35. We've known Jennifer O'Neill for about the same long length, and we worked for her. I don't know if when we ever stopped working for her. Whenever she needed us, we were there for her.
Well,
So, and
it
then
was the whole
Jack
lineup.
Scalia, yeah, Jack Scalia, Lindsay Wagner, Catherine Bach, the list goes on. Cindy Williams became one of our faithful tithers to our ministry, from Laverne and Shirley. What a precious lady. I mean, all of these different people who
Right.
have been in our life. Joanne Plug, who was from Candid Camera. Our dream was to see all of the people we grew up watching. We got to meet and minister to Jacqueline Smith and Cheryl Ladd, Lonnie Anderson, who was one of our favorites as well. The list just goes on. Stephanie Powers, who's a true legend, and Lorenzo Lamas. Oh my gosh, the list. I'm forgetting people. Jake the Snake Roberts, Barry Williams from the
Oh
Razones.
yeah.
You know, so yeah, some wonderful,
All
wonderful
the
people.
greats and
All the great. That's
well,
it.
you know what? When I met you guys, I was like, man, these guys have the same heart. Because like for me, I didn't know that I would be doing all the television that I'm doing. God waited till I didn't want it anymore, but and then I started wanting it to encourage people, right? And
Yes,
little did I know I get to encourage my own inspirations growing up.
we
Ted
never
Nugent,
dreamed it either.
Bill
Yeah,
Champlin of Chicago, and John Schneider of Dukes and Hazard, and Tyler,
yeah,
and so many others, and Kevin
yeah.
Sorbo, that
Kevin
was later
Sorbo,
on,
that's right. Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
so
that's
many
amazing.
mutual friends. Oh, but you know what though? But we had a camaraderie because we were both using our platforms to honor, not only honor people that had inspired us, but also to take America back to a better time. You know,
We were doing that. Well, one of the things that we did, and you know this, we got with the Christian artists,
yeah,
CCM artists, and you are friends with a lot of them. And we did years and years of legends concerts with
yeah,
the Christian artists, like Sandy Patty, who was one of our favorites, Russ Taff, a dear
oh
friend,
yeah,
you know, Steve Camp, you know, John Schlitt, Bob and Jane
oh
Farrell,
John,
Stephanie
yeah, the
Buchanan, like I said,
Farrells.
Abby Turnquist, who we had the biggest crush on. You know, the list goes on. um, Oz Fox, you know, there's just a group of them that were David Boyer. I don't know if you remember David Boyer, but one
I
of our
remember
favorites.
David Boyer. Yeah, we
Yeah,
booked him a couple of times in Tulsa. A trumpet player and
yeah.
singer, and yeah,
And
love David.
then Reba Rambo and Donnie
Oh
McGuire,
yeah,
and you know, there's just so many wonderful ones. Steve Archer. I'm trying to go through them all, but there's just so many of them. Chuck Gerard. You
oh
know,
yeah,
the list just goes on. So we did that for years and years and years, and every year was such a blessing to work with them. And then we gave them awards. Michael English is another.
oh
We gave
yeah,
them
love
awards
Michael.
for being faithful to the call of God on their lives. And then we started doing that same thing with Hollywood. We gave them awards because you know these people. Lonnie Anderson, she never took her clothes off. You know,
Right.
she was a sexy woman who stayed sexy but classy, and
Wow.
she was a Sunday school teacher in her early days, and
Really?
she loved the Lord. Yeah, so
Willie
we
Nelson
wanted to
was
be in
too in
we
his
wanted
early
to be in
days.
her Sunday school class.
Yeah. Hey, the times are great, man. Just keep
That's
having Lonnie, do but well, not only have you honored the legends of our time, but you're doing something I've never seen before. It's even a step beyond positive interviews and even beyond encouraging them. You're encouraging people who have survived and lived the tale of the tale from chronic depression, and you're also bringing in these celebrities to well in all the ways minister themselves, walking people through some parts of their lives a lot of people didn't know about. I mean, it's amazing that any celebrity that has survived the paparazzi and
had a
the
story.
wickedness and
Yeah,
and games of Hollywood, to survive. A lot of their meltdowns, if they had some, were very public, or some were just perceived. But for them to be given an opportunity to
yeah,
reach the world through
yeah.
you, you're giving them an
Thank you.
opportunity to
Thank you,
minister to
Brad.
people. I'm just so
Hey, I'm
proud of you,
doing it
Brian,
in
for
a
doing that.
selfish way. I want you to know because I lost Sean a year and a half ago, my twin, who we were so inseparable, and
Yeah,
I was suicidal. I wanted to kill myself, and I couldn't believe that God allowed this to happen. And at Sean's service, we had all these different celebrities. It was like the who's who of Hollywood and Christian music, and they all showed up, and they all sent videos, and they all just showed such support to us because we were there for them. So, in this time of depression and grieving, I was so depressed. I mean, it's a long story, but I tried suicide numerous times and I was drinking and everything. And instead, I
I
had
remember.
somebody tell me that, um, well, you had asked me to do a show for you. You had
Yeah,
actually said, you're going to
yeah,
do a show and you're
yeah,
going to do it and you're going to be successful and I'm going to be there to help you. And I appreciate that beyond words.
yeah.
Um, because I needed that kind of encouragement because I saw my value in my twin, that we were
Right.
valued together. We won
And
awards, we did all that stuff together,
yeah,
but how am I by myself? You know,
but you
the
you remember
anointing.
our talks.
Remember our talk that you just would say, no, you still have the call of God on your life.
You
Don't
will
compare
make
yourself.
it.
You will
And
make
and
it. And
and look what you're doing, Brian. I mean,
well,
not only
it's a selfish reason because I need to find purpose in my life. So I'm doing these shows, and I took the word depression. And somebody told me that in depression, you turn it around,
yeah,
rearrange the word, and I pressed on. So I said, well, that's a
which is
great name for
brilliant.
the show. So
Brilliant.
during that time, I'm interviewing people who have gone through horrible things and they still pressed on, and they give me strength by talking to them about what they went through. And then I'm telling them about my situation. So we're healing each other in some way by sharing it, but we're also talking to the audience, which they need healed too. I've never seen so much depression, grief, just a whole bunch of garbage. We're
It's
struggling
everywhere.
people. Yeah,
It's
it's
ever
everywhere.
it's everywhere, Brian. And meeting so many of these celebrities, which has been a treasure, you realize that they're just people.
Yes.
A lot of them are not as wealthy as people perceive.
Yeah,
Some of the most famous people were paid less than what most people watching this show make
absolutely.
because of bad deals or unions or such union pricing. That is, I'm not knocking unions. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, when a famous, beautiful movie star is making 120 a week because she got in on the wrong deal, the people that idolize her are making 5 times, 10 times more than that. Perception's reality. But what's wonderful is
Absolutely.
when you can take someone who they may have not been in the news recently, they may have not been
Yeah.
in a movie or TV show recently. You're giving them a chance to be out there again, but to
Yes.
benefit humanity. William
Amen.
Shatner, I never got to interview William Shatner, but Star Trek didn't get popular until after its season.
Yes.
And William
Yes.
was, from what I understand, he was living in a trailer, going through a bad divorce, poverty, and people don't understand. A major
No.
rock star in the height of his career was making, 3,500 bucks a month, and his
Yeah.
label's
Yeah.
making millions. But so many things. But it's just wonderful that you. We talked about this. Don't waste the pain.
Yeah. Don't waste the time. That's
Don't
basically.
waste the pain.
Yeah.
Pain is a teacher, folks.
Yeah.
And some of you watching right now, you've had pain in your life.
Hmm.
Don't waste the pain.
Yeah.
Don't go into escapism. We know what that's like, don't we, Brian?
Oh no.
Escapism
Absolutely.
or alcohol. Don't waste the pain. Let it
Yes.
forge you into a sword. That's how swords are made, in
Amen.
the fire and hammered and folded, razor
And,
sharp, and then in the cool water. But that's what you're doing, Brian.
well, and also, Brant, I don't think Christians, being a Christian,
Yeah,
doesn't make everything perfect. And I think
exactly.
Christians have to be real because right
Yeah,
now we have a bunch of Christians who are Stepford Christians who say, blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. And they
yeah,
act like they're blessed. And they are Sunday morning Christians who show up, praising the Lord, but they're gloom and doom and struggling the rest
yeah.
of the time. And we have to be real and we have to, because it's okay not to be okay, even
It's
if you're
okay not
serving
to
the
be
Lord.
okay.
Yeah, and I have
Yeah.
people like Donna Mills on sharing her story. I have people like Catherine Hicklin and Todd Fisher sharing their story, but they also shared the story of Debbie Reynolds because Todd Fisher's Debbie's son, and he shares about Carrie Fisher and the bipolarism and all that stuff. So it's okay
Wow.
to be not okay, and yet call yourself a Christian. Jesus doesn't exactly make us perfect. I remember that song, I begged your pardon, I never promised you a rose garden. I
Oh
think that's
yeah.
what we think Jesus gives us the rose. It's not that way. He's promised to get us through, but there is you can find Jesus even in the darkness of your life. So we're
You can.
sometimes struggling and we're still dealing with the darkness. And I had Kevin Sorbo on sharing about the aneurysm that led to 3 strokes and how he pressed on. It's Jennifer O'Neill, who's had 9 marriages, 9 miscarriages after one
Wow.
abortion. She's a
Wow.
true woman of God, but what an amazing woman. Christina Ferrari, who survived the remember the car, the DeLorean car in Back to the Future. She was married to DeLorean, who
Oh
made all
wow.
those deals, and she was the supermodel, the gorgeous supermodel who shares that scandal with us, and she talks about it, and then
It's
fast forward,
fascinating.
yeah, it's just one, and they're all Christians. They found the Lord and they love the Lord, but they actually are telling me, hey, it's okay to not be okay because there are days you're not going to be okay, and there are days I don't want to get out of bed, but I
Yeah.
find my strength and my hope. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we always have to be in the Bible. to find our strength, because God uses other things sometimes, like He uses my two dogs to get me out of bed every morning. And then, of course, I read the scriptures. But when I was angry at God, I couldn't even get into the Bible.
Right.
So God will use other things
I
and
remember.
people. It was hard, Brent. It was really hard.
But yeah, I tell you what, I knew you would get through it. I knew you would
Well,
get through it. And and
I'm still work in progress. I'm not
yeah.
sure.
Well,
I'm definitely a work in progress.
we are what some would call wounded healers.
Yes,
And you know what I mean?
that's
Um,
beautiful.
have you ever been outside and someone's cold and standing next to you and you you try to warm them up, you know, their shoulder, but in the process you're getting warm too.
Yes, well, that's
And right
beautiful.
now, as we are live on Facebook, in multiple cities right now, not just mine, from Dallas to Oklahoma City to Rockwall to West Texas to beyond, a lot of places in the Midwest. We probably ought to start one in Ohio, just for this too.
Yeah,
But you know what? We can encourage each other, and that's what we're doing. We
yeah.
are encouraging. My friend Ricky Griffin talks about when you encourage someone, you're putting something back in, and that's what we're doing. Hey, look, man, if I had it all together, I wouldn't need Jesus. You know,
Well, that
uh,
that
you,
really is the answer. That people look at Christians as being hypocrites sometimes, but it's
yeah,
not that we're hypocrites. We're as dysfunctional as the world. We know we need a savior. So when they're looking at us, they want to make fun of us, but in reality, we're just like you. We just we know
yeah.
we need a savior, just like you do, but you haven't recognized it yet.
Well, it's like we talked about. We're all freaking crazy. We're all nuts,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, that's
We
right.
just need to get around people whose crazy matches our crazy. Well, what
100%. And
what
we
what
don't
is?
always need an answer either, because, Brent, I realized when Jesus was at the tomb of Lazarus and Martha and Mary are blaming him, saying, "Why weren't
Yeah,
you here?" He never said anything. Did you notice that? He
yeah.
wept with them. And that's what we don't need to come up with answers. We just need to be there to weep with people. We need to be there to be the hands and feet and the voice of Jesus. And Jesus always did everything in love. He never condemned somebody, and he was always there in love, and that's really what the answer for all of us are today.
I'm proud of you, Brian, and you do a good job interviewing people too. But you're also great just talking to the camera and encouraging people. And there's no surprises. I was with some incredible people just earlier as well. I think you'll meet them, but there's not even a Hebrew word for coincidence. Did you know that? Uh,
Really?
hey,
No, I
hey,
didn't know.
no, Psalm 139, your life's already been written. There's no coincidence. There's no chance meetings.
Yeah,
You can't surprise God. And it's like you and I would talk about. You listen to me too.
yeah,
I mean, you've been there for me too.
yeah,
You may not know it, but we're in this together. But
yes,
but in Him, man, we live and move and have our being. We don't have to have it all together. We don't have to be perfect. We can only be I mean, when someone came to Jesus and said, "Good rabbi, good teacher," and he said, "Why do you call me good?" This is Jesus talking. Why do
yeah,
you call me good? Only God is good. Man, something in that set me free. And I could say, you know
definitely.
what? Only good thing about me is God. And
Amen to that. That's
everything
wonderful.
else is worthless, man. And,
Well, one
and
thing that I realized is that Jesus extended mercy when mercy wasn't even, they weren't worth mercy, because none of us were worth mercy. But he
yeah,
extended mercy to all people. It wasn't like, even the guy who Peter cut his ear off. Jesus
yeah,
put his ear back on. He didn't say, "Wait a minute, are you still going to kill me?" Because no, he just extended mercy.
yeah.
That's what we have to do. When he put Judas at the head of the table at the Last Supper, he actually put him in the guest of honor seat.
Place of
So
honor, man.
yeah, we keep thinking, oh, we can only honor people or only show mercy to people who are forgiven or have done us good things. No,
Right.
Jesus showed mercy to all of us. None of us deserved it. So that's where we have to be, always showing mercy.
Well, that's how you know you've received it, Brian,
Yeah,
is,
that's
you
it.
you can't give what you don't have.
Yes.
And I see a lot of people, they don't have any grace. They don't have any mercy or grace. Well, guess what? They haven't received it,
Yes.
because I know, I could plead guilty I can't
I
plead
think we all
innocent,
have to. Yeah.
but I plead the blood of Jesus. Did you know hear that? Is
Yeah.
well, I plead the blood of Jesus over my car. Well, that's noble, but understand what you're saying. That's a legal term. We are
Yeah.
guilty. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God.
100%.
And I can't plead innocent, and I
But
can definitely
Brant,
plead
now
guilty.
all of us have different things. I was raised in a very, no, I would hate to say religious because we were all, um,
Right, right,
but my mother had guidelines and it was God's way or the highway. Okay.
right,
So
right,
we
right.
knew we couldn't smoke, we couldn't drink, we couldn't use profanity. We
Or go
never
with
had
girls that
sex.
do.
So, yeah, so we didn't do anything. We were so strict on our values. So we stayed strict like that our entire life. Then Sean dies and I lost all my mind. And it was like I was angry at God because they said we didn't do this, we didn't do that, we didn't do that, we didn't do this, and you owe us. But he didn't owe me anything. And that's
No,
what
you
I
you
think
don't know
we,
us nothing, man.
he didn't know it's anything, but we think because we're serving the Lord, he's going to, but it rains on the just and the unjust.
Right,
And
right.
then I thought, you know what? Then I started smoking, I started drinking. I'm like, is this hurting you, God? Because look what you did to me.
Yeah.
Are you
Does that hurt?
hurting over this? But how stupid am I?
Well, you know what? You've let the pain forge you and you've made something. I pressed on. What a brilliant rephrasing of depression.
Well, thank
And
you.
you're helping
Thank
set
you.
the captives free, Brian.
I
And
appreciate
I'm
you.
I'm so proud of you for that. And
Well,
I'm not
thank you for,
surprised.
but you spoke into that. So I thanked you. You were the one who kept
Well,
saying you can do it and you can do.
only a moron couldn't see what was in you, the potential and the things that are in you, not just the potential, but what you already are, man. You're an encourager.
Well,
And
thank you.
what an incredible story. A story so profound that it caught the attention of Hollywood and
Yeah.
and
Well,
and so many of the actors, and
well, I have Larry Strickland on the show as well, who shares about Naomi Judd's
yeah.
suicide, and
Yeah.
he's an incredible man. If you've never met him, he's just
I haven't yet. No.
he was so brutal about what happened, and he gave the signs of what to look for and what he missed and all that stuff. So it was very raw and beautiful. But
Wow.
people have to tune in and watch those shows.
Well, go to ChrysagisMinistries.com. That's one of the many places you can read more about Brian
Thank you.
and the incredible
And help
things that he
sponsor the
does.
show. I need financial blessings because I'm doing it all by myself. So I do need
Well, that's
sponsors.
one of the reasons why we're doing this.
Yeah,
Folks, you know what? You know what it's like to put your money into bad soil, but some of you know what it's like to put finances into good soil. And Brian Chrisagis is good soil.
well, thanks.
Um,
Thank you very
through
much.
the years, I've seen the pictures of the people that come up to you and you and I know what it's like. We can put anybody on TV, and
Yes,
people will think there's somebody, but
yes,
we know the truth, and
yes.
yet perception's reality. And so, if you ask what I love about being on television the most, besides encouraging people, it's that little lady at Walmart who thinks I'm something just because I'm on TV. And it's not that she thinks I'm something, but it's stopping the world and loving her like she's the most important thing in the world because in that moment she is.
That's beautiful.
This is why we do it, isn't it, Brian? God
Yeah,
knows it's not for the money. And
no,
so,
absolutely.
this is why we do it. And so you're watching us in Dallas and Oklahoma City and Midland and Andrews and so many other places, Amarillo and even Arkansas, parts of Arkansas and such. Well, this is why we do it. We know that God gives us the platform we have to encourage others. That's it.
Yeah,
And
yes,
your life becomes more fulfilled when you use what you have to give to others and to encourage others. You know,
amen.
I know that I wouldn't be here had there not been people speaking in my life at crucial times. They were few and far in between. Of course, our sweet mamas. We can't beat our mamas, can we? And
No,
but all that to say is, but your friends are there for you when there's nothing to be gained other than just your friendship. Your friends are there for you when you're down or you're going through a rough time, or maybe you're not behaving properly. You know what? It's your friends. They don't want anything from you. They just love you. They want you to be okay. And it's a pleasure to have a friend like that in you. And
well, it's a pleasure.
you
Thank you
have
for
that in
being my
me.
friend.
And for those who are
Mhm.
watching, keep a lookout for I Pressed On. There is a revolution happening in our country and but also in media. You saw a whole change in our country, not due to legacy media, but due to independent media and
Mhm.
positive media. Well,
Yeah.
Brian is producing positive media, and he's bringing celebrities on there that are able
Well,
to,
it shows about real life. It's
yeah, it's real
shows
life.
about people struggling. There's domestic violence stories.
Right.
There's Tom Proctor, who is from Guardians of the Galaxy Zone. He shares how his daughter was brutally murdered by
Oh,
her husband of 20 some years, and how she was
wow.
always being abused. So these shows will help people know, get out of it, how to press on after it happens, how to forgive, because he actually is going through a forgiving process. And but those are the types of shows we have. Bipolar personality disorders. We have people who lost children at crib death. We have
Wow.
people who, just people who survived the fires and lost
Wow.
everything. So these are real stories. Somebody's husband who died 18 days with COVID, and she couldn't even say goodbye. Where was her closure? She didn't even have closure with it. So, real life stories of people who have to keep pressing on, and they carry guilt, and then we go through the process of how to get rid of the guilt, how to get rid of the
Wow.
yeah, and have closure, find closure. So it's very powerful.
And, people help people who help people.
That sounds like a Barbara Streisand song.
People help people who help people. Well, here's the
Yeah,
point. Look. Uh, there's no better place than to advertise or sponsor a show that's helping people, but you also get the star factor too.
yeah,
You get Brian and his co-host, and you get these celebrities as well, other celebrities,
yeah,
that a lot of people would be interested in what they're up to. So,
yeah,
if you're a Donna Mills fan or a Jack Scalia fan or a Lorenzo
yeah,
Lamas or a Lonnie Anderson, or, the list goes on. If you're one of
yeah,
those fans, you're going to click on that. You're going to watch that. And I'd like to have my operation seen in positive, helpful media that's associated with a celebrity. It saves you $25,000 for a celebrity endorsement or
yeah,
in person. So, but what I'm saying is, Brian is helping people, and he's helping people in Hollywood, outside Hollywood, and with old Hollywood, so to speak, or older Hollywood. And I'm just excited to see where it goes from here. But that's today was an introductory for I Pressed On with Brian Chrisagis. And tell us real quick about your co-hosts in a couple of these.
I have two different co-hosts. I have Barbie Tiscaris, and she's been a lifelong friend. Who she worked with stars from soap stars. She did soap events, and she brought a few soap stars like Vincent Araceli on the show. And actually, Vincent and me and my brother knew each other because Sean used to do. We both did artwork, and Sean would do all these paintings of Vincent, and Vincent would keep asking for them because he loved them. So we became friends. He's on the show. Several other soap stars are on the show. And then my other co-host is Brooke Corbett, who has an incredible testimony, but he's also a fitness coach and a life counselor because he shot himself playing Russian roulette,
Whoa.
and he actually shot him with the bullet went through, and he's still alive. But he was addicted to every type of addiction you could have. Now he's addicted to Jesus, but also addicted to fitness, and he's trying to help other people. So he's a powerful speaker.
Wow. What? That's a story. Oh my gosh. So, folks, you're going to hear more about this as time goes on. Again, we're being seen in multiple cities right now, and it will air as well for multiple networks. But I'm just so proud of you, Brian. I know it's just the beginning, and we want to put the word out more too. For people who are interested in being a part of one of the sponsors, I think you can sponsor a whole show. You can
Yeah,
sponsor a part of a show. Or you can be
yeah,
you can be a mention. There may even be a package where you can have a commercial on there too. That
that's
may
right.
be with the main
We could
sponsor.
do that. And
Yeah.
if there's anybody who wants to, because of this subject matters we deal with, and they want to sponsor a certain show, I could send them a list of whatever the shows are, and they could tell me which show. Or because I would like to send people to organizations when we have domestic violence. Okay, if you're going through this, please call this number. If you are going through like a suicide, desire to kill yourself, here's the number you could call, and we could pray with you or talk to you or whatever. So, and I'm not against medicine. So many people are against medicine. I want people to press on no matter what they deal with in their life. That God uses medicine sometimes. I always loved Oral Roberts because he believed in the power of miracles, but he also believed in the power of medicine. He had
Right.
a hospital on his place, and so many Christians come against people who have problems with depression and stuff. And I love what Shonda Pierce said. She says, somebody came up to her and they said, you shouldn't be taking that medicine for your depression. She says, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now take off your glasses and drive home.
Well, I think it's safe to say that our target audiences and what we do, we love people, but
We
my
do.
my my audience
No
isn't religious
condemnation.
people. Oh, my
Yes.
audience isn't religious people. My
Yes.
audience are people that love with the love of Jesus, and
See,
they
that's
they
what mine
yeah,
is too.
that's
I
it.
want to get people like Cher on my show and talk. I want to
Wow,
get people
that
like
would be a
Lady
that
Di.
would be a miracle
Yeah,
right there.
yeah. I want to get
Yeah.
Jane Fonda on and talk because
Now
I
that would
believe
really be a
people.
miracle.
Yeah. But Jane Fonda is a Christian. She's a Christian. So I'm
Really?
actually glad to, yes. So,
Okay.
but I would love to get people like that on, whether they're Christian or not, because, we could look, iron sharpens iron. It didn't say iron only sharpens iron when you are a Christian. Iron sharpens iron
Right.
no matter what. If you've gotten through something, I want to hear your story and you could help me while I help you. So that's really the message.
Jane Fonda has a lot to say about
Yeah.
surviving bulimia and things
Yeah.
like that too, and I'm sure that's associated with depression. But Brian, again, I've never heard of anybody doing this before in faith circles or secular circles, and so I'm just grateful, man. I'm just grateful
So
for you,
thank you.
and we'll do this again. We do it some more,
I
and
would love
get
that.
people behind this, okay? Because again,
Thank
folks.
you.
Um, it's time to use your energies to invest in the people, to encourage one another, okay? Because we're in this together. And so anyway, can't wait until next time, my man. I pressed
Well, I love you,
on.
Brent.
I
Thank you.
love you. And I pressed on with Brian Chrisagis. You know what? It's a new day. There's no rules anymore, but Hollywood meets ministry, with I Pressed On and Brian Chrisagis, and you definitely want to be in on it and share it with people that you love that need encouragement too. You never know. And I'll say this real quick because we've already done our recording time, but I'll never forget hearing the illustration of the man. And we talked about this a long time ago, but he said, I'm going to kill myself today. And so he dressed in black, dressed all in black, and nothing wrong with that. I mean, hey, every day is Johnny Cash day for me, but he was sad. He was depressed. He dressed all in black, and he was going to jump off the Golden Gate Bridge. And so he walked to the bridge, and he said, if one person gives me a reason not to do it, I won't do it. Well, no one even talked to him all the way to the bridge, walking from his apartment. He gets up on the one of the rails, and sure enough, in the corner of his eye, there's a little girl in a stroller holding a red balloon, and her mom's
Wow.
pushing her. And
Wow.
yeah, and she motions as she wants to her mom, she wants to give him the balloon. And so they stop, and the mother says, it's okay. So she reaches up and gives him a red balloon. And then they just go about their way. And he said, that's my reason.
That's beautiful. Wow, that's
You know,
beautiful.
you never
Yeah.
know when
Yeah,
you
just the
will be
smile,
the
just
reason that someone won't do that.
yeah. Obedience to what God shows you to do is
Yeah.
more important. That's where it comes from. Obedience is better than sacrifice, than sacrificing somebody. To listen to the whispers of God sometimes.
Well, I pressed on as a red balloon to that guy on the edge. It's a lifeline to people that need to know they're not alone. You're not alone, folks. And it's also a source of encouragement, the balm of Gilead, that there is hope. And we have hope in God. We have hope in Jesus, not religion. Religion never saved anybody, but we have hope in Jesus. We have hope in God, and He's our living hope. And Brian, I'm just so proud of you. So until next time, keep pressing on. And folks, you'll hear more about I Pressed On